Hey guys, we're in December now, and this always reminds me to talk about how we should be looking after our dogs during these holidays. Now I say these holidays because yes, Christmas is the one that reminds me, but the same advice applies to all of the big holidays throughout the year. Whether it's Christmas, New Year, Chinese New Year, Deepavali, or one of the 100 holidays that we celebrate throughout the world, they've got one big thing in common, and that is novelty. Things that don't normally happen. Things like decorations, things like playing music continuously in the house, because some people do that like us. Things like continual deliveries arriving for presents, for food, for preparing yourself for the bigger gatherings. Then we've got the bigger gatherings, guests, people coming over that your dog might not know or might not have seen for a long time. We've got dinner parties, family gatherings. You might even have big parties, and all of these things stack on top of each other. And we as people can become overwhelmed, and so can our dogs. It's what we call trigger stacking or stress hormone buildup. Because these stressful situations can be both positive and negative. Excitement, overwhelmed through being excited and feeling all of this cheer and joy, that's also adding stress, positive stress, but it goes into the same metaphorical bucket. So when we are caring for our dogs, we've got to be aware of this. We can do a number of things to help them. Prepare. Now, I understand that we're getting close to the season of Christmas now, but if you are going to prepare for next year, or maybe you celebrate another holiday that's coming up in a few months, you can start to counter condition things. For example, a lot of dogs get overexcited or nervous about the doorbell, or people coming to the door, or guests, or deliveries, all of that stuff. You can counter condition that. And if you're not sure how to do that, you can reach out to somebody, and I'm sure many professionals, including Noble Canine, would be happy to help you with that. Certain things like, we know that in the Noble household, we have our Christmas decorations up really early. Well, yes, one of the reasons is because we love Christmas. The other one is that if the decorations have been up for a couple of weeks before we start having guests, before we start the festivities, that's one less thing which is novel to our dogs. So getting prepared for the upcoming festivities. Then we've got the actual events. Let's say you're having guests. Well, understand that the stress build-up happens even before these things happen. So don't do anything overly exciting or overly stressful with your dog a couple of days prior to that. Let them have a nice relaxing time. The walks are relaxing. Avoid things that spook them. Avoid things that get them overexcited. That will give you a little bit more capacity to deal with the events. The events themselves. Well, even if your dog is a social butterfly, if you're going to have multiple guests arriving on the same day, keep your dog separate during the arrival phase, because that's when there's lots of excitement. People come to the door, oh hey, we've not seen you for ages, big hugs, kiss, wah, 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 all of that stuff. That is very exciting and very novel for our dogs. Have somebody on dog watch. That's what I do most of the time in our household, because I like looking after my boys and I want to make sure they're okay. So when people come to the door, move them into another room. Give them engagement, whether that be a snuffle mat, whether that be a Kong, whether it be you doing some training games. All of this stuff will help keep them engaged to you until the overexcitement of the guests arriving has passed. Then, if appropriate, introduce your dog to the guests in a nice calm manner. That way your dog's not getting overwhelmed by the guest's arrival. The next one, guest etiquette. I understand it's sometimes tough to tell people, especially family members, to act a certain way with your dog, but bear in mind that this is for not just your dog's comfort and safety, but also all of the people in your home. These rules are quite simple. If the dog is sleeping, do not wake them up. Let sleeping dogs lie. If the dog is on their bed, even just chilling and not asleep, don't approach the bed. If you want to make contact with the dog, make sure your guests understand that they can call your dog over, or Wait until the dog comes to see them. Don't force your dog into any social situations when you know that you're going to have a large extended social period of the day. People have got to be aware of what they're doing. If they drop food, that's going to be something that will excite the dog if your dog goes for the food. People shouldn't be trying to snatch things off the dog. Even if the dog has something that they shouldn't have, your guests should come to you to ask you to help get it back. These are just simple things to make sure that everybody is kept safe and comfortable. Set your dog up for success. Make sure that things like jackets or shoes are not within your dog's reach. Most dogs will probably not care about those things, but for those that do, you don't want your dog running through the house with one of your guests' shoes. So make sure that the shoes are kept in a place out of your dog's access. If you're having a lot of guests with coats, if you're in a colder climate, make sure they're not just dumped at the door or on a chair that's low enough for your dog to jump up on and sleep on, because a lot of people might not like that. Set the dog up for success by ensuring that you're not leaving things in their access. Another example, low coffee tables with food on it. Be aware of things like that. The next thing is making sure your dog has a safe zone. Have somewhere that your dog can retreat to, like a bedroom, an area that they know where they can be alone, have some alone time. And even if they don't go in there voluntarily, you can ensure that they get some alone time, because they need time to decompress, even if they don't think they do. The other thing that you can do, which is really handy, is taking them out for a nice relaxing and calm walk during these big gatherings, so that there's time out of the house as well. All of these things will help set your dog up to have a nicer, happier time during the festive season. And the last point is what to do after the fact. Remembering that this metaphorical bucket, even if it's not reached the threshold, will still have been filled somewhat. And it takes about 42 hours for that to come back down to basal levels of stress. So the next day, don't go taking your dog to the dog run with lots of other dogs, or go to the beach where they're going to be running around with other dogs and things like that. That's very exciting or scary for some dogs. And with them already having a fairly full level of stress, things might go wrong. Keep it calm for a day or two after the fact, and then reintroduce them back into their normal lifestyle. I hope that helps. And if you have any questions or any behavioural issues that might actually stop you from doing all of this advice, please do not hesitate to reach out. And I know that myself and the Noble Canine team will be happy to help you. Happy holidays.